Facing saying you're going, but my mom was a maid, my dad was a garbage man. Like, how I'm not going to go to college, but these were my goals. My goal was I was not going to be a maid in South Carolina. I was going to be a maid in New York. I mean, because I was not going to sit in the back seat of some white woman's car. And so in New York, I knew that you could sit anywhere you wanted to sit. And so, but my mom, I remember the day at 13 I went to work with her. Because I started taking in, we had people took in ironing from the white families. And I had my own ironing thing. And so I remember going to work with her. And she said, go around and pick up, she was in the kitchen, she said, go out and pick up the newspaper. And I picked up the newspaper and mistakenly made the mistake of bringing it through the front door. And she saw me and she said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, go, close the door, go back out. And she came around and she said, you don't go in the front door with the newspaper. You go in the back door, although the newspaper's right there on the front, you know. And so when I went to South Carolina State and they had the marches, I think back and I think that I was just marching for my mom. Because I think all of us had something.
Yeah, all of our parents worked as maids, and I used to go to work with my mother. And that's the way I made my mind. I'm not going to ever be a maid.
Yeah, so where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pulaski County. It's in the southwestern corner of the state.
Okay. So what was segregation like there?
Well, and that's part of the state there weren't many blacks. So we didn't have as many problems as long as we didn't try to interfere with what was going on in the white community. As a matter of fact, the community that I lived in the county, there were about 4 black families. We played with white kids. We would swimming, we used to dam the creek and go swimming with them. But when we went to school or anywhere else, then we separated. We could not go to school together. And I grew up in a school system in the very early years of my education, elementary school. I was in a one-room schoolhouse. A one-room, and my brothers, my cousins, I think we filled the whole school because it was 8 of us and 9 of them. And one teacher that taught all the grades. And then I moved, I guess when I got to the 3rd grade, they closed that one-room school, and they moved the teacher and all of us into the town of Pulaski, which was like about a 15-minute drive. And we went to still a segregated school system, but it was eight grades, and it was just so wonderful to be there and have to move around from classroom to classroom. And have, I never experienced anything like that before. And then when we would come back into our neighborhood, we would play with our white kids. That's the way it was.
How about for you?
I also attended. I went to school in a one-room school, one teacher, 7 grades. The funny thing, not funny, but really now that I look back on it, it's kind of funny. The white kids had their bus to take them to school.
That's right. They passed my house every day.
We walked 3 miles to school one way every day. About 8 of us walked to school. When we got to school, we had to make the fire and get the building warm. We had a little store up on the corner. So at lunchtime, the teacher would take a little list, and one student would go up to the little store and buy us the little sodas that were a nickel a piece, and you could give them back for a penny.
The drinks were nickel.
And ginger snap cookies. But all of us, of course, brought our real lunch. At the end of the day, we had to put some type of oil on the floor to kill the dust. We'd open the windows and actually cover the floor with this oily types. Put all the chairs on the desk. And then we would leave. So you didn't have any janitorial service like the white school?
We did the work.
We had the outdoor toilet, the works one room. My first teacher was Miss James, and then Miss Pigram, and I often wondered about these teachers. I know they're all deceased now. But, and then when I got in 5th grade, they moved us down the road to a 3-room school. And we were big stuff then,
I'm beginning to think that I was living a life of luxury. Because when I read about the Brown versus Board of Education, and Linda Brown, I lived directly across the street from a school. And we had no lights on our street. And I lived in a 2-room home. And actually, this 3 or 4 months ago, I was in New Orleans and saw the slave, went out to see the slave quarters, went to these plantations.
Okay, cut right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's about done?
25 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we stop it?
I think it needs to run through and then.
Okay.
Okay.
15 seconds left.
Okay.
So,
And we're going to start,
and-
hold that thought because we're going to start the camera again and then you
Okay.
can. So pick it up. When we started again, pick
Okay.
it up. I went to New Orleans.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And the battery's okay for another round, right?
Yeah, my
Okay.
battery's fine.